Hello everybody, welcome back to Sprueverse, my scale model universe, people of Earth. Welcome to part 3 of Build the Moebius 18-inch Jupiter 2. When last we metteth, I was getting ready to install the lights for the lower floor. That will allow me to permanently, allow us, I hope you're building with me, to permanently install this floor into the base. And then we can really start flying forward. So what we've got to do is we've got to get our freezing tube lights in. We've also got some static tubes. There's blue. There's 3 of those there, and there. We've got our 3 main console lights that are going to go in here. And we've got our elevator and our stairwell lights that need to go in here and here. And what I've done is I've built a little box just to contain the light and give us a little more bounce for the where the ladder is, and I've put that in here. Now I may just paint that out with a just a different color, because not that you'll see any of it. Actually, let me see here. No, you're not going to see any of it. But I will just paint a little bit of it just to make it clean. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to find these lights, fire up the saucer, and get everything appropriately nailed down. And then we can go to town. We can actually permanently install this. And that is exciting. Now, before we do that, I'm just going to quickly clean these up, just to make sure that when we put this down, nothing gets pinched. So I'm going to do that now. Just going to make sure everything is all the lights are out of the way that need to be out of the way. I've started to do just some cleanup here, and I just want to do a little more just to make sure that nothing gets snagged or pinched. So that's what we're doing now. So I am going to, well, let's see here. Let us fire this puppy up. See here. Ba-bum, ba-bum, ba-bum. There's the jack. Let's see here. Let's fire it up. Okay. And now everything is fired up. I can sort of just find everything. See, make sure we're orientated correctly. So let me turn this way. Okay, so this is the correct orientation. This is how this is going to sit. Now, what's wackadoodle here is just this one. I want to clean this one up and get this one out of the way. So let me do that. So let me do this. Let me just clean this up. You don't need to see me cleaning up wires. I'm just going to make sure that nothing can get snagged. And then when we're doing the install, we'll take a look at that. So just bear with me here for just a second. So I'm all tidy now, and I can actually start taking off some of these labels because I don't need them anymore. So these are my freezer tube lights. Why 2 are shorter than the others? I don't know. I don't even want to try to know. I don't think it matters. And then I've got these 3 blue lights here, which I've marked, and I can remove those. And those are the blue tube. Now let me see here, because there's 3 for the walls, and then these are the big ones. Yeah, okay, so these are the wall lights. These are the small ones that actually go in those holes for the static tubes. So that's those ready to go. I've got my let me find my That's the red. That's the ceiling. That's the main airlock. Let's see here. This is the... Why this is over here, I don't know. This is kind of strange because that's for the staircase, but that's okay. That can reach. And then one for the elevator. And I know that's marked because I've seen it. White ceiling. Okay, here we go. You know, it's all good. Okay. Okay, so let us begin. Let us begin. I'm going to start on this side with my console lights. I'm going to start here and then I'm going to work my way around. Or I should no, let me do this. Let me start with the stairs and the elevator because then, so this is the white stairs. So this is here's my light for here. Let's get you overhead. So this is for the staircase. So that's going to go, that's going to go right here. So I'm just going to turn this towards me for a second here. Make sure I'm not kinked. And then just lay this, I'm going to lay this down like sucheth. Get my hot glue. And I'm just going to put that there. There we go. Okay, so that's down. And I'm just gonna, I think what I want to do too is, let me get some here too. Let me get some there. And that should be fine. And then I can okay, so they're in. Next thing we're going to do is our main, let's see here, we come this way, I think. Yeah, I'm going to come this way, okay. So the next thing up is, no, it's not terribly secure, but I don't think it's going anywhere. Okay. So now, we want a green screen, and that should be in the far end here. So we'll do this one first. Let's see here. I don't know why. Does this happen to you, where sometimes you just become all fingers and thumbs? Fingers and thumbs, or thumbs as they're supposed to be. There's one. We'll do the yellow one in the middle. Yeah, we'll do the white one on the other side, and that's going to give us a chance to actually add some really nice Twinkies to this. What I mean by that is that it gives you a chance to put some Tamiya clears in there. And our yellow one. Don't love the yellow lights supplied with this kit. They're not as punchy as the one I replaced, but that's okay. All's fair in love and war. Let's make sure that doesn't pop out. Okay, so that's the three console lights. Coming around, because it's going to flip that way, so coming around, the next thing that has to happen is I've got to get my 3 blues in. Let's find those. Here they are. And there's 1, 2, 3. So let's get those in. There's 1. Okay. And let me bend that down like that. 2. And 3 is right there. Okay, those are the 3 blues, and those are for the static tubes, so we'll get those sealed up. Excellent. That's good. And then we've got our whites, and so I'm going to go ahead and get these glued in, and then we'll go ahead and we'll just go ahead and install the door. But yeah, very good, very nice. We're making some progress, and that this will allow us to permanently install this this floor. So I'm going to go ahead and get these 6 white ones in for the freezer tubes, and there you have it. All of our lights are in, and so we're good to go now. Everything is as it should be. So all I need to do now is just get some epoxy, and I'm going to epoxy this down, let it set up. Once it sets up, I'm going to go ahead and put my stanchions in, and I'll get those epoxy down that we talked about, and that will stop all of this wobbly. And then I can also get a bead of epoxy on this edge here, so everything can sit nicely. I've just got to make sure these pins are in the right place. This will sit down, and then I'll just go to town with my 5-minute epoxy, and I'll let this settle down. Everything is working as it should be, so that is terrific. Let me just make triple sure my fusion core is working. Fusion core is running, and it is, so everything is working as it should. So now I can go ahead and I can permanently install the floor, and then we can start talking about that console, because we've got some work we have to do on that. So I'm now I've got some 5-minute epoxy on the stanchions that I've created, and that's made this floor absolutely rock solid, so I'm going to let that all set up now. Quick test fit of the top of the Jupiter 2, because I was concerned about the momentary switch power and the on and off switch interfering with the opening and closing of this. Doesn't at all. In fact, it's actually a very nice fit, and that's quite seductive, really, because you do then start to think to yourself, you think, should we just not close it up? Don't know quite yet. I suspect we will be, but don't know. But anyway, it's working quite well. So let me take this off and just stick this over here for a brief second, because we're all good to go here. We're all glued down. We're all ready to go. So the next thing I have to do is I have to work on the console. Just triple checking, make sure everything is on, and it is. Triple, quadruple. Well, it's too late now. If there's a problem with my momentary switch, and there isn't, I'd be in big trouble. But here it is. She's flying. Beautiful. So that is good. Everything is good to go. And the lights and the whirl wells are working really well. Very nice. You got a really nice light from those whirl well lights. Not that we'll ever really look in there, but you never know. Okay, so I want to carry on now by addressing the main console, because this is the next thing that we're going to have to address. And this sitteth heareth like this, and you can see here, if I just, well, you can see perfectly. So everything is where it is supposed to be in terms of light. but we've got a lot of light blocking to do. What I've done is I've just cut off the plastic pieces just in case I need them for reference. But we're not going to do that. I think what we're going to do is get some. We're gonna get some diffused light in here, and I don't know how much diffused light we can actually get away with. So I'm going to have to take a look at that. And then, of course, the other issue we're going to run up against. Let me just turn this off. Just turning off my Fusion core. The other thing we're going to run up against is just making sure that we don't get any leaks, because this green, it is so powerful. I'm telling you, it's popping everything. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get this light blocked. Let me show you what I'm working on here. I want to partition the three consoles. So I'm going to do that with some black plastic card. I'm going to get that in position, and then we'll pull out our photo etch, and we'll take a look at that, because this is the next thing that we have to work on. So here's what I've done. I have the center screen, which will have this moire effect, and the nice thing is Paragraphics supplies you with that moire effect. Here it is. Let me get it close up for you so you can see. It's here in the corner, like there, and then the piece of photo etch sits over it like that, and you get this wonderful effect. Now, this is not the whole enchilada, but it's a really detailed and nice presentation for this model. So I'm very happy with it. What I've done is I have cut out 3 pieces of clear acrylic, 1 mil, and it's sturdy enough that it doesn't flex. But what it's going to do is it's going to replace these sort of thick pieces of plastic which are useless to me. There's no point. I mean, yeah, you could sand it off and it's fine, it's diffused a little bit, but I mean, it's a who cares really. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking my clear part, and I'm going to be taking my photo etch, and I'm going to be attaching it thusly. Now, not before I have put some clear Tamiyas on some of these lights. However, having said that, the decals are excellent, and they lay on top of it. Here are the decal sets, and let me show you. These decals are very good. Here is my clear part. Now, if I lay my clear part over the decal, you can see it's crystal clear. You can't even tell. So imagine that going under this. Okay, so in other words, the decal is going to go on top of my. It's going to go on top of my photo etch, thusly. So it's going to go on top of this, and the clear part is going to go underneath. And with all of that, we should get a really nice effect. And then on the green, one of the screens, we're going to have these wonderful radar screens in the center here, and they are made out of a little transparency film that has been printed up for us. And so that's going to look like that. And if I shine some light behind it, and I believe I can, you get to see the effect. There it is. And it really makes that, it really does make that, that wash, that arm that's washing around, it really makes it pop. So that's kind of cool. So that's the plan for the center consoles. And then I've got decals. What I did was I did a little bit of it's very crude, but I did I did this kind of just black with some clear Tamiya's. Now, very crude, because I'm going to be using the decals which sit on top. And if you can see, these decals are relatively transparent. But what they do is they create this lovely crispness. So what looks like a bit of a dog's breakfast at the moment is going to clean up quite nicely. So between those elements and the small decal I have to go over the center, which is also clear, I should have a really good center console. Really good. So I'm very excited about that. And it's going to come together quite well. So step one, and I don't need to paint anything. There's no need to paint anything, but this is going to act as a great light blocker. I am going to do these partitions first on the back here. We need to get these partitions in. I'm going to do that in black plastic, and so that will stop light from leaking. But I think what I want to show you here is when I lay down my photo etch, when I lay it down over the console and I flip it over, you can see that if you wanted to, you could chew out a lot more, but I'm not going to do it. There's no need to do it, because most likely I'm going to be sealing my top, most likely. And so, but the effect is going to be absolutely perfect. And so you're going to get a really nice light block on these too. So that is going to handle the console. So just to quickly review, we have got our clear pieces. Here they are. I've got 3 of those. We've got our photo etch pieces, and we've got our decals, our transparency film and our decals. And between the whole thing, we're going to have a pretty decent console. Okay, so I'm going to start putting these elements together, and then we'll take a look at this when it is finished and ready to install, because once I've done that, I'm going to turn my attention to the panels I've not painted. I've done a lot of painting on my panels, but I've got some that need to be painted, and we'll turn our attention to that next. Now, once we've done that, folks, we are off to the races. I mean, it is really going to come together and start to really look cool. I've been working on some clear pieces, which are go behind the freezing tubes. These are part of the rear wall, and so there's 6 of these, and I've been working on those. These were clear, and I hit them with some silver, and they'll go into place, but they're not lit. So there you go. Okay, so that is going to handle the console. It's quite a few steps, but I think it's absolutely worth it, and it makes, in my humble opinion, it makes absolutely 0 cents to be using the clear pieces that came with the kit. Therefore, I'm not going to. Okay, so let me put all this together, and then we'll take a look at it. I've roughly placed all of the elements inside the ship, and I've put the sealing ring on for a couple of reasons. One is because I have chosen to open up the main airlock, which is right here. So obviously we can see that this wall needs to get painted, and I need to create another partition wall. Here's the light I added, and that's going to allow light into the vestibule. Now most likely I will try to sort of figure out where I'm putting that for the best effect. But the point is, we're going to need a wall here, otherwise this doesn't work. And so that's one element. So I've got to create a wall here, which I will do out of some 2mm card, and that's very simple for me to fashion. Interestingly enough, while we're here, I think it's worth having a conversation about this airlock door, because what you could do, if you wanted to, is you could cut it. You could cut it to suggest that it had slid in and it was open. Now, if you did that, you could definitely open up a lot more of the sort of the visual acuity, but I don't think you're going to see any more than you see through the main window. The point is, you could do it. It's another one of those options that's out there for you. But I think when I turn this around, and let me try to turn this to camera for you and give you a sneak peek in, you actually get to see an awful lot. Now, granted, the windows aren't in, and you're going to get an even more restricted view, but the point is, you see an awful lot when it's lit up. So that is quite a result. So I'm very happy with that, and I think we're doing quite well here. So I've got to just get my vestibule wall created, and then I'm going to start working on getting all of the panels themselves painted up and finished, because that will allow me to start detailing things. The one thing you've got to make absolutely sure is that when you glue this down, every one of these wall tabs have to be flush. If they're not flush, you run the risk of creating a slightly raised elevation, and you don't have a lot of breathing room between the ceiling ring and the top of the saucer. So a big caution there. Make triple sure that everything is down and flush. And the way you'll do that, obviously, is as you go around and you do your final glue in of everything, that's when you're going to make triple sure that everything is rock solid. Okay. I just wanted to share that with you, and we will plow on. But I'm very happy with this, and I'm very happy with the fit of everything. You know, gluing all of these panels together, the panel walls where you created these tabs, and the concern always being that, oh, okay, you're going to have to start shaving things down, but I didn't. They've done a very nice job. Making sure that everything kind of locks into place. So this is going to be very cool. The one thing I do have to make triple sure of, though, is obviously that everything is really nailed down. You know, what you want to do is make sure that it passes the shake test, right? So when you pick it up and you shake it, you've not got anything that's liable to drop off the walls. So here's my first light test of the main console. As you may recall, I have one green, which is this one. I have the yellow in the middle, and I have the white on the end, just for some contrast. I don't have any Tamiya clears in these at all. And the yellow is not as punchy as the others, but I assure you, it's pretty good. I mean, it's on and it looks good in person. My freezing tubes are all on and looking great, and I've got my blues here, and then we've got these blues which are going to light up the rear wall, and I'm frosting those clear pieces that create the wall that goes here. But so far so good. The other thing that I'm really interested in is to see whether or not I was going to get any major blooming or light leaks from the back, and I'm not getting anything really. It's really nice and clean. Now, the reason why I got it so clean, and let me get some more light on the subject, because I turned all my lights off so we could see what we were doing here. Still a little dark in the studio, but that's because I've got my major light off. But it's important to share this information. So let me go ahead and remove these walls for just a tad of a second here, because when I remove the console, oops, and of course everything tipped out, which is as it should have been. That's perfectly all right. Nothing's glued down. But I wanted to show you I've created these little light boxes in the back here. And I made them out of plastic card, but I made them out of black plastic card, and they're doing a fantastic job. Just really doing a really nice job. So I couldn't be happier with those. The one thing I am going to do, though, is now that I'm seeing what is going on, is I am going to actually trimmage one of these lights, and the one I'm going to trim is this white one here. I'm gonna remove this piece so that I can get some light to this little control panel here, and that's blocking it from doing that. And there's no reason why I can't go ahead and this is punchy enough that I think if I remove that one, I'm not going to have any issues. I don't think I'm going to have any light bleed at all if I remove that, because I've got a screen on the other side. So let me go ahead and just let me just go ahead and just knock this off. Let me remove that just quickly, put this back, and see if we've made a difference here. We've made a little bit of difference, so we'll get a little bit of light to that screen, which is really good. But ultimately we've got no light leak issues, and once this is glued down, we'll be fine. So that's going to take care of the front console. So I can go ahead now and I can go ahead and get these pieces glued in, the clear pieces. I'll get those glued in, and I can actually get decals on my front consoles here, which have my clear parts behind them, and they're doing really good. The transparencies, actually, I put on the transparencies that came with the kit. Excuse me, they came with the paragraphics. I'm going to do this again. Take two, pick up. So I'm very happy with what happened here. And so what I'm going to go ahead and do now is get all of this prepped. I'm going to get on here my decals. And I'm going to get a little bit of just a little bit of Tamiya clear behind all of these, and then I'll put the decals on that came with the Paragraphics kit, the aftermarket kit, because I think they're a little punchier. Now I do have the black, which came with it, which came with the Paragraphics, which is correct. It's a transparency. But since that yellow light is kind of sad looking, I may go ahead and replace this with the decal from the kit. I don't know. I'll take a look at that. But we've made some wonderful progress here, and this is a big leap forward, because now that this is finished, and I can go ahead and prepare to glue this down, it's going to allow me to start building out the walls after I've got everything detailed. A couple of things that I wanted to just sort of update you on. I've got the final color for my main view screen in the Jupiter 2, and what I think is really interesting is I came across a shot that I want to share with you, because the model actually shows, well, the kit part came with rounded edges and very thin, as you know, and one of them was broken, so I had to repair them anyway. But I added a little bit of reinforcement in the form of some I-beam that I had in stock. Let's take a look at this shot here. And you can see Maureen Robinson at the window itself, and it's square, and it actually has some lines on it, which would indicate to me that it had some buffering. It's interesting. You can, on this shot, you can see what it's all made of, all the wood. But hey, let's not go there. Let's not ruin the illusion. Thank you very much. Let's just say, hey, look at my bit here, and I'm very happy with that. So that's a result for me, and I think we're going to get, visually, I think this is going to look a lot cleaner, so I'm very happy with that. Now, the next thing I wanted to share with you is this shottage that I found. I came across this shot. Now, the reason why this is important is because if you look at the wall there that is right behind her, and you look very closely, you can see that there is in fact metal stripping that goes down the sides of the wall. Now obviously they had a clear piece in it, some kind of transparency or clear plastic that lit up that panel, but you can clearly see the outside edges are attached to some metal trimmage. So in the spirit of trying to create details from the world we'll never see, we'll see some of it, quite a bit of it, but I wanted this detail to be good, and I wanted it to pop. So to that end, in the masking set that you get with the it's the sort of the aftermarket kit that comes from Paragraphics, with the Aztec dummy masking set, you also get this highly reflective tape. So here's what I did. I took the reflective tape and I went ahead and attached it to the inside of the panel, but not before I dragged my Display paint marker. Now there's other paint markers on the market as well. AK Interactive has some wonderful ones that I love to use, but I used this one. And simply what I did was I took the marker and I ran the marker carefully along the edge, and because it's raised, it's relatively easy for you to get a nice result. And I ran it along like that, and that gives you the piece like such. And then what I did was I went ahead and I laid down my tape, which get it down and then press it down with a Q-tip. I used a Q-tip and a toothpick just to make sure it lays down, and the net result is this, and there it is. Now if I shine a light on this, you can see how it's punching. It's punching, and that's the effect of the light reflective tape. So that's a result, and I think that you will agree, if we go back and look at this panel, we get something that's relatively decent in terms of the overall feel. So it's a nice touch. So I'm going to go ahead and get all these laid down, and these panels will be ready to install. One other thing is, as I go about detailing the various panels, some of the door panels may be able to attach prior to gluing. Now you'll have to get everything in place and see which ones you can actually do. But I think adding these panels to these will make it easier to install them, and it'll also make it easier to work with them. So I'm also going to be taking that step as well. Okay, so lots going on. As you can see, I'm going to go ahead and get all those details cleaned up. I'm going to get my my panels finished, and then after we've done that, we'll come back and we'll look at some of the details on some of the finished panels, and we'll talk about freezer tubes as well, because we've got to construct those elements for that wall. And then after that, we may be ready to start installing some of these. Oh yes, don't panic. So while I'm letting some decals dry on my main console, I thought I'd jump over to the circuit wall quickly and just start working on that. If you're going to use the Fedoratron aftermarket circuit wall, you're going to need to trim it just a smidgen, and then you're also going to have to remove these tabs on the back. So that's what I'm going to do right now. And that's going to allow it to actually sit flush on the against the back. And he also supplies some photo etch too that you're going to use to frame this with. But this is what he recommends we do. And so that's what we're going to do. Just get this removed. And we'll clean this up. I'm going to clean this up with my number 17 chisel, just to make sure that it's nice and clean. So there we go. And we'll just get the chisel here. Keep the fingers away, obviously. And just get that smoothed out like that. And then on the back here, I'm gonna just carefully chisel this out. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it needs to be smooth. It needs to be flat. And it's awkward to get my it's an awkward piece to get to, but that's why I like the chisel. It's a great piece of kit to have. And as long as you keep your fingers away from it, and I say that from experience. Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, that's pretty good. And then we'll take the board and we'll lay that against here. Let's see, we might have to trim just a little more, but yeah, I think we're gonna, what we'll do is we're gonna take a little more off the bottom, I think. Not sure, but anyway, there you go. That's looking good. That's looking really good. And then if I hit a light behind it, you can see, oh, I'm blowing you out. So let me just do that. There we go. And you start to see that this is a very effective piece of kit. So that's good. And then I've got some decals and some brown. I just have to mask this off and get some brown on this. And we'll take a look at this piece after I've detailed it out and I've got the translator in and all the other nonsense and the decals. We'll take a look at this panel because I think it's a fun one to look at. With my freezer tubes, one of the packs, so you've got 4 individual frames that have clear parts on for your freezer tubes, amongst other things. And there is actually an interesting way to do this. Now, a lot of you might be saying, Phil, don't need you to explain to me how to build something, and that's fine, but I just wanted to share with you what I think is a very simple way to keep your grubby fingers off these clear parts and assemble these with very little difficulty. One of the things that happened here is I cracked one of my freezer tubes. It just cracked. And the reason why it cracked is because I find clear parts to be very, very brittle. And interestingly enough, even though I was a ways away from the actual part, I was clipping downstream, the vibration of that actually shattered this part. So I'm going to need to dig into my other kit and pull one of these out so that I can carry on with this build. But before I do that, I just wanted to share something with you. If you take the 2 parts, you'll notice on these 2 parts that there is a long side and a short side. And I'll show you that here. So if you look at the clear parts, there's a long side and a short side, and that's deliberate to sort of, essentially it's mimicking the the front of the door that sort of sits and it slides over the other piece. So what I've done is, and what I am doing is I take one side, because I know which side is the long side. The long legs are the legs that actually sit in the bottom of the freezer tube. They'll sit in quite nicely. Even though they're a little fatter, they will sit in. And what you do is because there's a high side and a low side, it's the low side. The high side is your cap sits over that, but the low side is to install your clear parts. So what I do is, what I'm doing is I'm taking one of the parts and I'm seeing which side it sits in, and I can see that it sits in quite nicely on that side. Then I take the other side, which also has the small peg, and I attach that to the other side. I just sit it over it, and I make sure that it sits in. Now, if it doesn't sit in nicely, it just means you got to take your hobby knife and just open that up a little bit. This one's giving me a little bit of grief on this side, and I can see the flash actually. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that like that. There we go. So again, take your thin side and match it up. I'm noticing here too, there's just a little bit of, yeah, these clear parts, they're not the easiest to deal with. And if you're struggling with it, I think this is a relatively easy way to install these. Okay, so that sits in nicely, and then you take your other side, and that should now slip in on the other side. It's fiddly, but there it goes. Now, the next thing I do, be careful, but you can do it without too much drama. Line them up. Of course it doesn't want to because I'm on camera. There we go. Line those up, and then what you're going to do is you're going to flip it over, and you're going to line up the keys like that. Get your fingers under it. You will be able to do it. There, just line it up so you can see it's flush, and then take just a little bit of super glue. I'm using medium here, and just a dab on the top, not too much, just a dab. And with some kicker in my little bottle, I get the kicker in there, and that will bite. And then I do the same on the other side. Just make sure it's in, and you want to just keep your fingers, as I said, you want to keep your fingers away from the clear part itself, because that's when the crazing happens. And once that happens, it is officially over, and you'll need another part. Okay, so that kicks off. It's lovely and clear. I haven't touched the outside, the side, so I haven't got any fingerprints on it. That's set up. Now, just give that a minute or two, and then what you're going to do is, with a toothpick and some of your microcrystal clear, not much, you don't need much, you're going to just carefully separate the lower half, just enough to see the edge of it. Don't worry about getting some on the outside. We'll just use a little Q-tip with some water right away on that, and we'll be fine. But just separate it enough to get your finger in there. And you'll get really good at this, and that will seal it. And I can come along with clean water and just clean that up. There. And there you have a tube that's nice and clean. Okay, so I've got all 5 done. I'm going to go pull my other kit and pull one of these out. Now, lest any of you panic, I have, believe it or not, an old, relatively old Jupiter 2 kit that I had opened many years ago to play with. It's not the one I'm going to build for myself, but it's an old one. So I have got spares. If I didn't, obviously, I'd just reach out to Moebius and they'd send me one for a few bucks. Okay, let's take a look at that console we promised. Everything is dried nicely and is ready to go. And when I shine a light under it, I can check for leaks, and I don't have any. So that's good. I think what I am going to do, though, is I'm going to put a little bit of my Slick Tulip Black just in the back here and along the edges, just to make sure that we are absolutely leak tight. But then that's ready to go. I think that's looking really nice and clean. Very happy with it. Very happy with it. And the decals really make all the difference, especially to the top if you're not going to light them. The decals that come with the Paragraphics kit are really clean. There are some other aftermarket decals on the market. I'm not going to name them. They're pretty goofy, but I'm not going to disparage anybody here. But anyway, very happy with that. Console is done. We're now going to basically start our rough assembly. All my panels are done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up for the final piece of this update, which is to get the Jupiter 2 on the board and start lining everything up to see how it's looking before we commit to gluing anything down. It does suggest that you do this in the instructions, and then when you're ready to glue down, you essentially use the ring, the sealing ring, to hold everything in position. So that is next for the final part of this part 3 update. You know, it's a beautiful kit. There's a lot of guys out there who have figured out how to cut an opening in the roof of this so you can see inside. That's certainly a way to do it. Removing the lid is also another way to do it, but it does mean that you have to find a place for this light, which is to your dome sensor in the top. It would require a plug here, which is not the end of the world. You just have to plug it in, and then you have to reorient everything, and then you have to drop it down. And it would require a little bit of engineering to get this lid to snap nicely and not see a gap around it. That would bug me. Not that there's anything against that, but lots to consider there. Okay, but let's address what we've got on the bench today. Okay, a couple of things. One is the control. Let's start here at the beginning here. I want to talk about this console, and I'm going to turn it just a hair so we can see a little more of it. And let me get a good overhead shot. See here. Let me just get that in like that. Okay. So let's talk about this this console here. The green pops nicely. The white pops nicely as well, and the yellow in the middle with all the lights off looks really cool. Now I've got it dim in the studio here so we can see a little more than we would otherwise. In fact, even if I turn off this overhead light, it gets even punchier. So it's there's definitely I'm very happy with the way that turned out, and with the top on, you see quite a significant amount. Okay, let's go on around here, and let's talk about the next section, which is the main airlock. Now, what I've done is, as you may recall, I have opened up the window. I didn't open the door, I've opened the window. If you open the door, and you can open the inner airlock door, this one here, you're definitely going to get even more of a visual. Now, what I've done is I purposely left out the clear part right here. I've deliberately left it out so that when you look through, you really get a nice look through that porthole. And again, I'm going to be using a microscope slide glass to put in my main airlock door. I'm also going to do the same here on this section, so that you can get another view through the ship. That will be a lot of fun. I have added this panel here. I scratch built this. I simply copied some of the another one of my other panels, and I'm going to glue that in place when everything is glued in place here, like that. And then, as you recall, I added light to the board, and that will be this light, which does not come with the kit. I added this myself, and I'm not sure where that's going to go, but I think I'm going to try and put it in the ceiling, so that that lights up like that. You can see we'll get a nice glow. We could put it in the side, but I think that will create too much shadow and bounce. I think it's going to be a lot nicer if I do it in the ceiling. So I'll put that light in the ceiling, and that will really show that off. Now, because I'm doing that, I've got a fire extinguisher that's going to go on the wall, and I've got a few extra decals that I'll put on this wall for airlock controls, so that you do see a little of action in there. Okay, so I have got, let's see here, best way to see this one. Well, let me go to my over the shoulder here, and there is a light that is provided you, and it's right here. And that is going to light up the control panel wall. And then there is my red light, which is here, and that is going to light up the center control panel, where you've got the translator, and then you've got all of this stuff here. Forgive me, I'm not recalling exactly what it is at the moment, but that light sits in there. I just need to clean that up a little bit. So that's good. So that's lit. And then as you come around here, your elevator light and the stairwell light, I've added a little bit of plastic. As you know, we built that to just create the illusion that it's got somewhere to go. And then, of course, we've got our freezer tubes, and they're all lit. And then there are 3 blue lights for the static tubes, and they'll go in here. And then we've got light for the back here, and I'm going to need to create a panel for those, so that we can have them far enough back that they don't that they give off enough light, but they don't interfere or wash out everything else. And then of course we've got our ceiling lights. Here are our white ceiling lights right here, and they're going to go around the top, just to add light to the top of the ceiling. And I've painted the top of mine silver to give it some extra bounce. And so that's absolutely everything that is going on this ship. So very, very, very happy with that. Very happy with it. We've got a lot going on here, but everything is going according to plan. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start working on final install of the various different panels, and I'll start with this console here, and then I'll start going around. And as I do final install on everything, I will make sure that everything that I put in with epoxy resin, because the one thing I have learned is that if this is going to travel at all, it needs to pass the shake test. It just does. But fortunately, this particular kit doesn't have a lot of external stuff that can snap off or break. Okay, so there's a clear dome for the astrogator that needs to go on, and that will go in the second. Here's my little robot, and he's going to sort of be here guarding the whole kit and caboodle, and you'll be able to see him through the main door. I'm very happy with him. He's looking really awesome. And I think that'll be it. I don't know if we're going to have any other figures. I don't think we will, although we could potentially put a John Robinson and a Will Robinson from the Doll and Toy smaller Chariot, because those figures are really good. So we could certainly do that if we wanted to. Don't know if we want to. But that is everything. I've got to put the freezer tubes. They've got to be permanently locked down. And then I've just simply got to make sure that everything, nothing interferes with my my ring, and that ring is going to lock everything in place. And so that is it. That is essentially the Jupiter 2, and then once that's all locked in and we're ready to put the roof down, which we'll see that in the final the next episode, which will be the final. We'll see that happening, and final paint scheme, because I'm hoping that I can seal this up and not have too much of a seam to have to deal with. But I don't want to put final paint on this until I can go ahead and get everything squared away in terms of blending it. I don't want to have to paint the top, paint the bottom, putty it, and then paint the seam. I don't want to do that. I want to blend everything and do it in one foul swoop. Okay, so I think that will do it for this update. There's a lot going on here, an awful lot, but we are really dangerously close, and I think I think you'll agree that this model is just it's an awful lot of fun. It's an awful lot of fun. And if you're an Irwin Allen fan like I am, you definitely want this in your collection. Okay, hey, if you want to get a hold of me, I'm spruverse@gmail.com. I post most days on my Instagram account. That's at Spruverse. That's where I just post my daily photos of progression, or what's on the bench, or what I'm doing in the shop. Hey, buy me a cup of coffee. That's for my charity builds, and you'll find that link on my channel page. But hey, as always, I wish all of you, please, be safe, be well, build something. Come on, guys, let's build something. And I'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Be well.